Now, far be it from me to contradict Leonard Cohen, but when he says, if you don't become the ocean, you'll be seasick every day, I would change that slightly to, if you don't realize you're the ocean. Because you don't have to become it, you already are it. But it's a great line. When I used to not like Leonard Cohen at all. First time I heard him, I was like, oh God, he's so depressing. But then, as I gained more experience in life, I came to really appreciate his songwriting, music, sense of humor. This is a great line, though. This, if you don't realize you're the ocean, if you don't become the ocean, if you don't realize you're the ocean, you'll be seasick every day. And it's so true, particularly if you're interested in consciousness. And if you're listening to me, you probably are. You'll kind of know it. The spiritual life, the life in consciousness, it can be a bit of a roller coaster. Because you start to get with the flow of things, which accelerates things. So your unconsciousness starts to come up, and it can come up faster and faster and faster. You start to get through it a lot quicker, which sounds lovely. You think, oh, well, doesn't that mean I'm becoming, way more conscious? Yes, but also it can feel more turbulent, particularly if you don't realize you're the ocean. For example, would you say that the ocean is seasick? Probably not. Probably doesn't even know what seasickness is, because it's just being the ocean, okay? But if you're like trying to, keep being a little thing in a big ocean, then you will be seasick all the time. It reminds me of that other one, which I love. And it's this idea of, or quotation of, let go or be dragged, It's so true, It's like this thing, whatever comes, let it come, whatever stays, let it stay, whatever goes, let it go. I'm just trotting out the memes here, but they're all around the same thing. And that is that it's a wild ride. Life is a wild ride. We try to make it safe. We make our little houses, make our little roads, put all our little houses in a row. We try and make it safe. And compared to the past, historically, it is a lot more safe. But there's no protection from the wildness of life. You know it yourself. Nothing happens for years, and then suddenly everything blows up. I remember my spiritual teacher Barry Long talking about his brother, I think it was his brother. And he was rejected by his family, and you're crazy, and this whole spiritual thing, whatever. And I'm sure he gave them good grounds for that. But anyway, his brother rang him one day and said that he just discovered that his wife was having an affair, and he was devastated by this. And Barry was like, well, welcome to my world. Which I suppose is not the most compassionate thing to say, but it's kind of true. It's basically like Barry was going, okay, you've just realized you're on a wild ride. You've just had that thing happen. So we've all had those kind of things happen, The marriages fall apart, the businesses fall apart, the child gets sick, the bus hits you. Or just suddenly things change out of nowhere on the inside. You wake up. I remember working with a woman years ago, back when I was seeing people in person, very long time ago, maybe 30 years ago. And, she was coming for craniosacral, and she was lying flat on the table. It was very quiet, very still. I'm there at her head, I was at her feet, that's right. I was at her feet, tuning in, helping things to release, very quiet play, And out of the blue, she sits up, bolt upright, and says, you know what, John? It's a shocking thing to wake up one morning and realize you have 5 children. I've never forgot that, because she just so succinctly described life in consciousness, where suddenly you make a little shift in consciousness, what seems like a little shift, and everything looks different. It's like one of those magic puzzle things where you sort of turn it and it looks like a circle, and then you keep turning it and suddenly it looks like a square. Just your perspective changes and everything changes on the inside. And you're like that woman. What? I've got 5 children? How did that happen? But similarly, you can kind of go, I've been on this career path thinking I loved it. And suddenly I realize I'm just doing it to try and please my parents. And suddenly you're like, what? I've spent 20 years just trying to please my parents. They like it, they're happy, but I'm not happy. I hate being a pilot or an accountant or whatever it is. So the spiritual life, the ocean that you are, it's doing what oceans do. It's bashing against the rocks. Over here it's dead flat. Over here it's got little waves, and then other waves are like gently coming in and out on the shore, and the beautiful sandy beach, and then others are, as I say, bashing against the rocks. It's all part of it. And if you are not okay with that, if you are resistant to that, whether it's, oh, no, I don't want to think about, I'm just doing this to please my parents, or whatever. If you resist it on the inside and you squash it down, a very clear visual I have for squashing things down is a sandwich, You ever made a sandwich where you put too much stuff in, you put the other bit of bread on the top, and you're like, oh, this is going to be great. And if you squash it down too much, it all comes out the sides. It's the same with our stuff. If you have a little inkling that something is going on the inside, you get a little sense of, I hit into this little spot and I kind of reacted. If you kind of go, nope, don't want to think about that, it'll just come out the side anyway. But when it comes out the side, it's always a bit embarrassing. It's always a bit, you're taking the head off somebody that you love, or you're acting out something, you're eating something you don't want to, you're drinking something you don't want to be drinking, you're kissing someone you shouldn't be kissing, so on. Or whether you're resisting it externally. It's like, I do want to be a pilot. I'm going to keep on at being a pilot. I don't want to, it will just get taken off you until you get with the program, And that's the wildness of it. That's the movement of it. And that's why you'll be seasick if you don't get with it, or if you don't accept it. What's actually happened. See that you are the ocean, that you are the wildness, that the wildness is inside you and it's expressing itself externally. If you don't see that, yeah, you will be seasick. You will be dragged because it's gonna happen anyway. So it's a matter of whether you're going to be easy with it. And I'm only saying this to you because you are interested in consciousness. For people who aren't interested in consciousness, it is a bit of a struggle. It is a bit of a battle. It is a bit of a roller coaster, and put all sorts of efforts into trying to protect and trying to contain a wild thing that can't be contained. But that's okay. It's not like they're wrong. People who are not interested in this are wrong. I'm not saying that at all. But if you are conscious of it, and you're interested in consciousness, or you're interested in the spiritual life, then the more you're in tune with this, and the more you can kind of go, yeah, I don't know how I'm doing it, but I'm going to own it all. I'm going to own all the wildness, everything. I'm going to own it all. I'm going to be with it all. I'm going to try and be with it all. But then you go from being smashed around by the waves to a sort of spiritual surfing. You're sort of going with the waves. You're not resisting them, you're not fighting them. You're kind of enjoying them. I've never surfed, so I don't know, but they look like they're having a good time. So that's the kind of opposite. That's the flip side of it. The flip side of this feeling of being seasick or feeling of being dragged. So, yeah, if you haven't listened to Leonard Cohen's music, I encourage you to do that. It's some of, because he's a poet and he makes music as well. I mean, he's not with us anymore, but yeah, his lyrics are very good. They're not all brilliant, I have to say. There's some duds, of course, but there's a lot of good stuff in there as well.